11, 12, 13, 14, and of course 15. Put it aside. Take the water bottle. We're doing swings. 1, 2, 3, and go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Well done. Second rest time starts now. Our rest time starts now. Walk around. Oh, that feels good. Walk around, walk around. Walk around, walk around. Three more seconds. 2, 1, and time's up. Last set. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and of course 15. Well done, well done. We're going to do now the swings. 1, 2, 3, and go. 1, 2, squeeze your bum. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Well done, well done. Our rest time starts now. Our rest time starts now. Walk around. Breathe in and out. In and out. Walk around, walk around. Walk around. Let me see our timer. Time's up. So we are going to go down. I'll demonstrate. We are going to do 2 workouts. So 1, if you're unable to go to do like a proper plank position, you can do that and up. Alright. But if you can do a proper plank position, you can do it from a plank position. 8 on each side. Do not feel limited by the numbers we give during the show. You can do more because we are on a timer. So we're trying to do as many workouts as possible during the session, but don't feel limited. You can do more repetitions if you like, or more sets. So let's go. So when I go like that and come back up, that is 1. That, come back up, that is 2. So we are going to do 10. After doing 10, we are going to do flies using the water bottle. Then we do the other 10 on the other side. Are we together? Good. 1, 2, 3, go. 1. 1. 2. 2. 3. 3. 4. 7, 7, 8, 8, 9, 9, 10, and 10. Well done. Now we'll go down with the water bottles. Pick the water bottles like that. Then you lie on the pillow like that with your back to the pillow. Let me just move this a little bit. Pick the 2 water bottles. They're up there. 1, 2, 3, 15 of those. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, contract your chest, 13, 14, and 15. Well done. We go back up to rest position. So our rest time starts now. Our rest time starts now. 30 seconds rest. Walk around. Our time's up. Let's go for the next set. Remember, we're going down and up, 10 times on each arm. Then we go back to that. So let's go. 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and the other side, 10. Well done. I'm sure you're feeling your core too. Yes, we're getting that too in this workout. Let's go for the flies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Well done. You're doing well so far. We have one more set of that. Your rest time starts now. We have 3 more seconds. Hands up. Hands up. Let's go for the last set. 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5. Keep going. 6, 6, 7, 7, 8, 8. Keep going. 9, 9, 10, and the other side. 10. Well done, well done. If you did it at my pace, you did an amazing job, by the way. Let's go. Last set of the flies. If you have dumbbells, you could use dumbbells for this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and one more. 15. Well done, well done. Let me put our rest timer. You're doing an amazing job. 10 seconds of rest. Sip your water. It's that time again to sip some water. Before we start on the shoulder routine, so we've done something for the chest and for the, you know, this area here. Ladies, you know what I mean? Yes, yes. So we are going now to the shoulders. Your rest time's up. Rest time's up. For our shoulder, we're going to use this water bottle to do that. Yeah, that. If you can't do it while standing, feel free to secure yourself on the seat like that and just do that. All right, and then we're going to do this one like you're pouring water from a jar. That's why we're carrying the water bottles. We're going to do 15 of those and holding this to the front and back, to the front and back. 15. So we're going to do each 15, 15, 15, then rest. 15, 15, 15, then rest. Are we together? All right, let's go. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Well done. Put it aside. Remember, we said rest is after the third one. So let's do this. 1, 2, 3, and move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Perfect. Put it down. Now we're using the pillow again. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, it's burning, 12, 13, 14, 15. Well done, well done. We have 30 seconds of rest starting now. 30 seconds of rest starting now. Walk around. 30 seconds is not a long time. Well, it's a long time, but it's not a long time. It's a long time until you're planking, but it's not a long time when you're resting. So we have 5 more seconds to go. 5 more seconds to go. Our time's up. Our time's up. Let's go. Let's start over. 1, 2, 3. Go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Well done. Let's go. Like you're pouring. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm enjoying this. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Keep going. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Well done. Pick the pillow. Good. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Well done. Our rest time starts now. Our rest time starts now. Walk around. Sip some water and walk around. If you're like me, you're feeling hot right now. You're sweating already because we are on a new normal. I told you my name is Evelyn of Eval Health and Fitness, EVEAL on Instagram, Facebook or Twitter. You can hit us up for more tips on workouts. But here we are starting on a new normal. Tizi Nyumbani is here for you just to make sure you start that day in a good mood and on the right foot. Alright, 1, 2, 3 and go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, keep going, 14, keep going, and of course 15. Well done. Well done. Pick the water bottles. Let's go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, keep going, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Well done. Pick up the pillow before it cools. 1, 2, 3, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Well done, well done. You did an amazing job. You finished in the same spirit and energy. Have a lovely day. That's it from here at Tizi Nyumbani. Looking forward to having you in the next show. Meanwhile, Peter will be here to kill it as usual. Looking forward. Have a lovely, lovely day. Bye-bye.
From far with you. I even gifted you a magnificent house. Rosa, it's the thought that counts. Please help me.
When it comes to fever, you need to be both. Panadol Baby and Infant starts to work on fever in 15 minutes and is gentle on the tummy. Panadol Baby and Infant, tough on fever, gentle on your child.
Namaste. In hard times like these, we must remember the important role played by family as the foundation upon which the society is based and ordained by God, and resist any temptation to stigmatize those who have been affected or infected by the disease. Let us follow up our family members to practice all measures as given by our government. Above all, let us constantly check on the well-being of our family members as taught by our religion. He is the creator, he is the ordainer and the source of all types of motion and energy. He is the highest feeder. Infection control, including voluntary isolation, is inherent in our faith and behavior in our effort to protect each other from contagious infects. Therefore, let us follow the government directive on social distancing, like the way we do the namaste instead of shaking the hands. The infection control, including the voluntary isolation, is the inherent in our faith and behavior in our effort to protect each other from contagious infects. Therefore, let us follow the government directive on social distancing as it were the part of our faith.
Here at NMG, we are working very hard to ensure your favorite publications, Daily Nation, Business Daily, Taifa Leo, and the East African are readily available. In a bid to support the efforts to prevent the transmission of COVID-19, NMG has ensured our staff, our distributors, and their staff adhere to set guidelines. At our printing plant, all staff are required to wash their hands before entering the factory and must be wearing a mask. All workers either change their clothes on entering the factory or wear an overcoat. We are keeping doors open to avoid our staff touching door handles repeatedly. With our automated printing, contact with the newspaper is kept to a minimum, and at the packing process, the staff observe social distancing. Vehicles used to transport the newspapers are disinfected daily before the newspapers are loaded, and our delivery staff all wear masks and wash their hands regularly. Our vendors ensure that they sanitize every time they handle money and wear their masks at all times. NMG is proud to be able to safely meet your information needs. Stay safe, stay informed with our favorite NMG publications.
Babe, nakwambia hii time ya COVID watu wanaumia.
Watu wako na stress, watu wame lose job, watoto wako nyumbani wajaenda shule, watu wako na kama inatafuta junior na ladasha na wapatiane for 6 months.
Mko aje? Karibuni, come.
But kama kuna watu wako na story, I think ni wewe. Hata in a nutshell tulikuipick tu juju.
Na ulipasa viaje? Kwanza financially hizo stories zote ulipasa viaje?
Jua alikuwa ananitip 20,000 per week wewe.
Ha. Ulikuwa unatip wife 20,000 per week.
Nilikuwa na job.
Hapo mkafika mahali hakuna kitu.
Hakuna
kitu. Wow. I can't wait to hear this story, bro. Because I know I understand you as a man. I know.
We are a nation Africa's independent media brand. We are committed to empowering all Africans, from the young to the old, from the curious to the educated, and from the heart of the cities to the rural areas. We are nation. Join us, because if you want to get far, you do it together. Nation. Empower Africa.
This is NTV.
Greetings, East Africa. Thank you for joining us on your world this morning, and definitely it is the first day of September, and even as we look into this very cold Monday morning, the COVID-19 pandemic has disrupted so much, resulting to loss of incomes, jobs, businesses, and in some cases loss of lives. However, you and I can think of that one person or a group of people who have stood with us, whether in prayer or literally showed up to meet our needs. Now, buying you food supplies, could be paying your rent, could be they took you in when you were evicted from your home, or were a shoulder to cry on when you lost your loved one. Any of these descriptions is the kind of person we are talking to this morning. And on that note, we speak to real heroes who have chosen to stand in the gap and make a difference in people's lives during this pandemic and even before. We also invite you to join us as we celebrate these and other brothers keepers. My name is Gladys Gachanja, and this is what else you can expect. Today we speak to people who have chosen to stand in the gap for others, brothers and sisters keepers. South Africa's health workers have finally donned their tools and taken to the streets. This Senegalese teacher is raising money to fix broken down schools. And hey, there is a new way to watch movies while physically distancing. Find out how it works. Thank you for joining us on this broadcast, and our question of the day to you this Monday is, who has really been there for you this pandemic season? How have they helped you or come through for you? Remember, we are celebrating our heroes, our brothers and sisters keepers this morning. Remember that hashtag new normal on our social media handles, and you can also reach us on that number at the bottom of your screen by either texting or calling in. But before we get to it, let's look at the numbers in as far as the COVID-19 pandemic around the world is concerned. So far, We are at 27,289,725 people confirmed to have COVID-19. Those who have totally recovered from the same stands are 19,373,714. Those who have succumbed stands at 887,550 people. Now, in Kenya, as per yesterday's press statement, 35,103,000 confirmed cases in the country. 21,230 people have recovered from the same, and 597 Kenyans, unfortunately, have succumbed to COVID-19. We keep you up to date every morning right here on Your World, even as those numbers keep being updated. Now, let's take a look at some of the stories making headlines around the world. El Dorado Park residents hold a vigil for Nathaniel Julius, a 16-year-old with Down syndrome who was shot dead on the streets on the night of August the 26th after at least 2 South African police officers were arrested for gunning down the teenager.
I saw a little boy. They asked him, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" He says, "All I want is to be alive. Serve our people." Nathaniel wanted to be served, but you shot him with a shotgun. Evil men in this community. We want law and order to return in the name of Jesus. I say we want law and order. We're asking the station commissioner to clean up that place with all the rotten apples. Serve us. Have compassion for us. Stop killing us. We are sick and tired of death all around us.
I want to say he might have not spoken a lot, but out of his quietness, he called the entire world to a standstill. Nathaniel, tonight, we want to salute you for uniting a rainbow nation.
I just want to thank the community for being there for my brother and for standing with my family.
Elsewhere, roasted field mice have always been a traditional seasonal snack in the southern African country of Malawi, even when food was bountiful. However, under the crippling impact of COVID-19, this unique delicacy has become an unlikely savior in rural areas. Traditionally, village children hunt the mice, smoking them out of their holes. They are then cooked, salted, or dried. Some Malawians choose to eat mice, but at the moment, for others like Simeon's family, it is the only meat that they can get. Mice meat might conjure up ideas of unsafe or unsanitary food, but local health authorities don't discourage their consumption.
Proteins. So you are free to take whatever is there so as you get the required or the recommended amount of proteins.
On Sudan's Tuti Island, where the Blue and White Nile meet, the highest river waters since records began have left people struggling hopelessly to hold back the rising floods. And Shira Sharaf, a psychologist, says 4 days ago the water flooded us. In the past, we did not suffer because this is a residential area and the water of the Nile would flood specific houses only. But in 2020, the water of the Nile flooded the homes. We are trying to convince the people of Tuti Island to leave the island, but they won't. To health matters, South African health workers protest in Pretoria over low salaries and a lack of adequate PPE and testing kits. Although South Africa has seen a drop in confirmed COVID-19 cases and fatalities recently, it has the 5th most infections in the world.
And we also demand adequate PPE. Management must stop this issue of saying you did not contact the virus at work, you've contacted the virus at home, especially for the front healthcare workers. We can no longer keep quiet anymore while healthcare workers are dying in various facilities because of COVID-19. We are saying we can no longer keep quiet while our healthcare workers are getting infections at the facilities because the employer is unable to provide adequate PPE in the facilities. We are saying enough is enough.
We don't want 0% increase because throughout COVID, public servants have been working. We've been saving lives of politicians, we've been saving lives of society in general. So we don't become essential workers and critical workers only when it's convenient of them to call us essential workers. Because our lives as public servants, as workers in South Africa, does not mean anything to the government of today. So we must be prepared to fight commerce. This is the battle that we are starting today. We are going to fight, and we must tell them that we are ready.
It is so disconcerting that whilst we have taken this responsibility to lead in the front line, your safety has been compromised by uncaring politicians.
Back home and to something that focuses on the conversation of the day today as we celebrate our brothers keepers. Now, Brian Murimi once saw somebody sleep on the streets and he wondered how anyone would get to that point. But when he went back with a heart to give and change the circumstances. Now, that heart gave rise and fruit to so many other people who now he empowers so that they can not only eat the fish, but know how to fish. Here's his story.
Coming home from school and I noticed someone who was sleeping in a sack where ordinarily that place would be a cobbler's stand. So I had never seen that before. It was my first time to see someone who was homeless or sleeping outside. So I related that with what I had read in Isaiah 58 and it became a point of action for me. So I ran a library service prior to that, renting out books for a few shillings a day. So I got a client of mine to actually use their proceeds and go with me to feeding this one person that I had seen. So we could not find the one person, we found 15 others. So with the little money we had, we got to feed the 15 people that we saw. And that set up our journey to what we are today.
That definitely brings to perspective the people we are taking time to celebrate this morning on Your World, the heroes amongst us. And one of them, yes, is in studio with us, Brian Murimi, who is the founder of Seren. I also have others joining me virtually, Waweranjiru, who is a nutritionist, but also the founder for Food for Education. We are also joined by Pankaj Shah, who is, if you remember, part and the lead of Team Pankaj, and he's a tour operator. We're also joined by Eddie Peter Gibhard, who is an actor, and he'll be telling us more as to how he has stood in the gap for fellow Kenyans. Thank you all for making time to join us this morning. Now, Brian, as we saw, you found a need on the streets, and what is this about this guy sleeping on the streets that just blew you away?
Well, I was rather young then.
Yeah.
So in my high school years, actually my final year, so I had never really seen someone that destitute. And knowing that area, I knew that was a cobbler's shop, a person who'd taken care of our shoes since the time we were very young. Mm-hmm. So when I saw that person sleeping there, it really struck me. And I decided to do something about that. Mm-hmm. So, you know, in school I would run a library service. I love to read. So I'd rent the books out for about a shilling a day. And then I made 100 shillings from my first client. And from there, I convinced them to go with me to the streets to find this one person that I had seen. So that day, when we actually did go, we didn't find that person. We walked around and found about 15 others, and they all got to share that one meal worth 100 shillings. So that's where it all began.
And this meal, if you remember, what was it?
It was mokimo, a green mokimo for minji and maize.
And maize.
Yeah, and mashed potatoes.
And 15 people ate this meal.
Yeah, they were gracious enough. We found some street boys, some were senior, others were junior. So the senior ones helped us to quiet down the little ones, and somehow we just divided and everyone got a bite. Yeah.
But definitely after you saw that, it just kept tagging on you, tagging on you. When did you decide to actually now make it your life's mission?
I had read, primarily the inspiration came from Isaiah 58 in the Bible. So it talks about the right form of fasting and how, you know, we can bring healing to our nations through reaching out to people who are poor and needy around us. So noticing that person gave me like a point of action to be able to, you know, chase this dream of us healing our land and, you know, through primarily reaching out to people who are maybe destitute in our society. So, you know, just interacting with these amazing people over the months, over the years, I got to realize there are people with hopes and dreams just like you and me. They might not look the part, but they're people with, you know, dreams and ambitions that they would like to reach and achieve. And that kind of struck me because, you know, we can have a conversation with them just like you and I are having. So that kind of inspired me to look into, you know, further, you know, what exactly, why are they there? You know, how did they get there? What's keeping them there? What have they tried to get out? You know, have they tried to get out? What have they done? Has it worked? You know, what has not? So those are the questions that have led us on. And, you know, now we've been able to see, you know, through the process of building relationships, we were able to serve a lot of meals to homeless people and, you know, generally people living off the streets. And for a period of about, you know, slightly over a year, we got to feed about 250 people a week. And, you know, thereabout we got to learn about, you know, their stories. And we found many of these amazing guys, you know, have not completed their schooling. Many of them are suffering from actually 50% of the reason of people being on the streets is broken families. So, you know, divorce and separation, truancy for those who are young. So you find, you know, if our families were intact, half of the people on the streets or half of the, you know, those in the vulnerable category of society would not be there. So we also found many of them are spending money they don't have on treating diseases that can actually be prevented. Yeah, but we also found, you know, a very staggering statistic, one that really drove us on, which is about 60% of the people on the streets have tried to get out of the streets through starting small businesses that they would then use to feed their families.
Okay, so that is when Saren, I think, was born.
Yeah.
And when you talk about we, it was now not only yourself, but other people who bought into the vision. You'll
Correct.
tell us more about that. Let me bring in Waweranjiru. You've always had a heart for children, and your background in nutrition actually gave you the foot in the door to cater for them. Tell us more about Food for Education.
So Food for Education is an organization I began when I was in university. I think I really liked Brian's story because similar to him, when I was younger, I used to do, you know, some community service when I was in high school. I'd gather, you know, shopping that was left over in my boarding school to take back to people. And so from that genesis, I decided to formalize it when I was doing my degree in nutrition and food sciences and begin a school feeding program because I'm very passionate about food from the degree and from the learning that I was getting, but also very passionate about children and their access to education. So we started providing food to 25 children. I mean, I did a small fundraiser, raised money through friends. I cooked them food through the fundraiser so that they can give me money. And through that dinner, I was able to raise some money that was I started the organization with. So we built a small makeshift kitchen, a mabati kitchen, and we started feeding 25 kids. They'd walk there. And since then, this was 2012, since then we've grown. But it's a journey of really, being very intentional about giving, but also trying to create structure around school feeding programs so that kids can have the right nutrition, because hungry kids can't learn and they can't grow. So since then, we've provided over 3 million meals. And during COVID-19, provided around 1.7 million meals to kids and their families, the kids who are enrolled in our program. We also use technology to enable the kids to access the meals. So the parents contribute 15 shillings for the meals through M-Pesa, and it goes to an NFC wristband called Tap to Eat that the kids wear to school. So we're bringing that efficiency, that control, and low cost to school feeding programs so that kids all over the world, all over Kenya and Africa and the world can have the right nutrition. And our goal is to reach 1 million kids a day by 2025.
Okay, it started off with a dream, 25 children, so many children now who are beneficiaries. If you have never seen or heard about what Wawira does, this is what she does.
23 million children go to school hungry every day in Africa. 1 in 4 children in Kenya are stunted. This means that they're thinner, they're shorter, and they have 15% less IQ than the average child. Now, we provide subsidized nutritious meals to vulnerable school children to improve their education outcomes. These meals are full of protein, full of vegetables, full of all the micronutrients they need to grow and develop properly. Now, our model is simple. We source food directly from farmers, we prepare food in central kitchens, and then we transport it to corporate clients who are corporates in Nairobi, and we use the profits to subsidize meals for children.
Okay, so Wawira has been at it and she has been fundraising, but also she thinks not only about putting that plate on the table for these children on a daily, but also what that translates to in terms of their, nutrition needs and, of course, their educational needs. Now, Wawira, you talked about meeting their needs during the COVID-19 pandemic. How now do you reach out to them when they are in their homes?
Yes, I mean, that's a really critical question, because I think when schools were closed, no one really knew how long they'd be closed for. Children just went home. And initially, we relied on children coming to school so that we can provide the meals to them. And we'd never foreseen a time where our schools would be closed for such an extended period of time. So what we did is we relied on our Tap to Eat technology that I mentioned before, because when parents contribute for the meals, we have their numbers, we're able to text them, we're able to reach out to them, and we're able to map parents and their kids and their families based on where they are. So we map parents using the technology that we have, Tap to Eat, and we're able to create distribution centers that were close to each homestead, for example, so that we would keep social distancing and we would be able to provide the meals to kids and their families close to where they are. And also, on top of that, we made sure that we provided something that was enough for them to have over about a month of food, so that we didn't have to keep delivering every single day, especially during the height of the COVID-19 period and the lockdowns. So we were giving, 20 kilos of food to a family, and we did this to each family, and we did this in 2 phases, so that parents can truly stay at home, because we were saying social distancing, and how do you social distance when you're hungry? So we wanted to address that need so that kids and their families can stay home. And we also extended from just the children to their siblings and their parents as well, so that as a family, they're safe. So we were appealing to the families, but we mapped them using the Tap to Eat technology, and were able to create distribution centers and distribution lines based on where they were.
Okay, now Team Pankaj has also been one of those that has made the headlines. Everyone was saying, have you seen that Indian guy who is meeting people's needs during this COVID-19? Well, his name is Pankaj Shah. You have made such a huge difference for so many people, especially in the informal settlements. How did it all start, Pankaj?
It's a very interesting episode. My daughter was in New York, stuck in New York, and I started with a prayer. So I forced her on the 21st of March to get out of New York. She studies there. And when in the beginning days, she refused to get out of there because of, young people have their friends and stuff. And then I gave her an ultimatum. I said, okay, get out of New York quickly. And on the 21st of March in the afternoon, I went to Mother Teresa's home in Huruma, which I've been going to for a very long time. And at that time, I realized that people had already lost jobs because we went into lockdown on the 7th of March. So I know this, all the nuns, the sisters at Mother Teresa's home very well, because I've been supporting them for almost 30 years now. And when I went there, we took a walk at about 4:30 in the evening to around the Huruma slum with a couple of sisters. And that's where Team Pankaj started. So as my daughter left New York, it was midnight of the 21st and early morning of the 22nd of March, when I was praying and I got this idea that, let's try and help the people in the slums, because truly they don't have jobs anymore. So that very early morning at 4 o'clock, I made a small appeal and I committed myself. And Team Pankaj started, and I started with 300,000 shillings of my own money. And next morning, I sent 2 tons of unga, 1 ton of beans, and 1 ton of rice to Mother Teresa's home in Huruma. It was a Saturday morning, and that's how it started. And in the afternoon, we started distributing it door to door. So what we did was we took a packet of unga, a packet of rice, and a packet of beans. We put them into shopping bags, and we started going door to door, and that's how Team Pankaj started. And then I realized that, my goodness, Nairobi had a massive need of this area and of help, and the massive area of Mathari, which I knew but I hadn't known it before. And then I went onto the internet. I Googled all the data that we were required to Google, 260 slums in the city, all locations, and just, Team Pankaj just grew and grew and grew. And as of 30th August, when we stopped our initiative of feeding people, I'm very, very happy to say that we have been able to feed 125,000 families and 108 children's homes 4 times over. So we have sent out food worth almost 180 million shillings to a lot of people. And the thanks goes to, number one, all the donors who have most generously donated, from 1,500 shillings to 15,000 shillings, to people who have donated 20 tons of flour and 20 tons of sugar and soap. And as we grew, we started going from one slum to the other. We started using all the CBOs in the slums, and during our journey as Team Pankaj, we found some very, very, very nice and very interesting people who live in these informal settlements and are out to serve the people. I have a few friends there. There's a really nice lady called Rachel Mikali who lives in Mathari 3A, and she looks after so many families there. She is an activist for gender-based violence. So she introduced me to more people in Mathare. And then we went to Mukuru side, where I met Sister Mary, who has been running the Mukuru Promotion Center and 7 schools, and a school for the disabled, and a rehabilitation home for boys off the street. So we have done so much work with them that I'm indeed very, very proud that God chose me to lead Team Pankaj, and gave me so much strength to lead a whole team of almost 450 plus volunteers on the ground. And we became a big brand during this time. And it's given me so much new direction in my life also for the future.
Okay. Now, when I come back to you, Pankaj, I would like to hear that first encounter you talk about with Mother Teresa that put you on the path of philanthropy many years ago. But let me cross over to Eddie. Eddie, you are an actor and you knew, and we all know how much the creative sector has been hard hit by COVID-19. But knowing exactly how that shoe pinched, you knew how to meet that need. Talk about that.
Thank you very much. First of all, I just want to appreciate everyone who's doing amazing work here. Brian, especially, hi. I think for me, like you said, I mean, the creatives have been hit really hard because most of us depend on having a job so that you can put food on the table. It's not a monthly income that comes. So when you have a job, then you have a pay, you have a salary, then you're able to feed yourself. Yeah, so I mean, this for me started when I got many, and I think this is because of being just very free with everyone. I'm easy to talk to. So guys just inboxing and trying to see how they can get help. And so for me, I was like, I can do this, yes, I can try and do what I can, but then I was like, it's too much for me. So I tried to extend it to just first my fellow creatives, especially the actors. I reach out to the actors and say, hey guys, we have people who are really struggling at the moment because there are no jobs. Most productions are closed because of the COVID-19. How can we help? Engage guys and ask guys if they're okay. They can send anything that they can. And this really just reminded me of the story where there's this lady who was giving their sacrifice or their giving, and it was the little that she had, that these people, and most of the creators, people are giving from 50 shillings to 100 shillings. That for me was really touching, just to see people wanting to help other guys who are struggling. And so for me, that's how it started. And then because I saw how the creatives have been hit hard, and then I started reaching out to other people out of the creative business and asking them to help. Because I mean, you see these people entertaining you, but right now most of them are in their houses depressed. People have their families, they don't know what what their next meal will be. And so that's how it started. And finally, I even reached to my church, Mavuno Church. They have an initiative that they started, Spread Hope. And so they helped me out. They started giving me some food hampers that I could use to give to the creatives, to the actors especially. And so that is how, for me, everything started, when I saw people really struggling and trying to find out what they can. Guys were reaching out to the point of saying, I can do anything, even if you know somebody who can employ me just to go and clean a place, I am ready to do this. Yeah. And honestly, not to say that for actors, you see, there's a face, there are things that you don't want to be associated with as an actor, because and there's a lot of misinterpretation where when you're an actor, then there's some things you can't do. Yeah. So for me, I said, okay, let me try and reach out to actors and just help where I can, especially just put food on the table. And I would say I've been really amazed by how even actors and other people were willing to help and just put food on the table for actors. That is how everything started for me.
Okay, and Eddie, definitely that heart for you to give stems from your own upbringing. You are orphaned at a tender age, so you know how to hustle from a long time ago, but also you know about going without, right?
That's very true. I mean, there are times I've had to stay without food and eat, maybe just make a ugali and salt and eat that as your meal. And so because of that, I have gotten to the point where when I don't know, when I see somebody struggling just to have food, it really breaks my heart, and I try everything I can. And so for me, this is not just because of being an actor and helping actors, but this is a family thing. My wife and I, this is what we put ourselves to. We said, if we are able to help, even if it's one family, let's just do that, so that we can remove some depression or some issues that people will be going through as a family. Yeah.
Now, as you can hear, everybody talking to us today has been meeting a need one way or another. They did not know how, but they knew there's a need to be met, and they went ahead anyway. And now it has grown into something even bigger. So if you'd like to appreciate them, remember that number at the bottom of your screen is how you can reach us. And you can also reach us on that hashtag New Normal on our social media handles. Now, Brian, you started off alone, but you've grown into a community, and this community is called Seren?
Yes.
Okay, so exactly what do you do and who is involved?
So, it's grown over various stages. As initially we used to do a lot of feeding, and, building those relationships helped us to see some of the opportunities that, can be tapped into for them to be able to get long-term help. So initially it was just a group of young people who would come together and contribute their bus fare, and people got meals that way. And we noticed these opportunities where they want to engage in enterprise to be able to fend for themselves. So we designed a curriculum from scratch to be able to meet these 4 needs that we saw. So these 4 needs that we saw were like, you're in the streets for a long time, you lose that sense of self-value or self-worth. You no longer see yourself as an equal in society. So that self-image in itself works to keep you, on the ground. Health issues, we saw that. So we, in our curriculum, we would teach them about, a bit of counseling to help them, restore that self-image and also deal with past hurts because of, half of them are there in the streets because of broken families. So helping them not to transfer that, to their children. And then, we'd get them health insurance for about a year. And then we'd now help them with capital to start businesses. So, because we noticed there are about twice as many women on the streets as there are men, particularly in Nairobi. And, every woman has an average of 4 children to take care of on their own. So, immediately you start a small enterprise, you're likely to spend 3 or 4 weeks down the road all your capital in treating one child who gets sick. So, health insurance became an important part of that. And, we've been able to see amazing things happen. We've been able to see, about 5 in 6 that engage in our program who are homeless are able to get homes within a month for themselves. So they're able to get, go somewhere, rent a place. We've been able to see families reunite because maybe a man couldn't take care of a child and a wife. Now they have a stream of income that, they can use, and families are brought together. You've seen people who were on the streets before and, they couldn't take care of their children. They had, given them away to children's homes. Now, they can be able to take care of those children. Children are now with their mothers again. Mothers are now with their children again. They can be able to, live and work together, do life together. So, it's great what we've been able to see.
Well done, well done. Bless your soul, because we need a lot of you on this planet. And speaking of which, Wawira, you have seen those little children literally blossom, right?
Yes, I have. I mean, the impact of school meals and nutrition on kids especially is that they're able to, you literally, once they eat, you see, if they've been hungry, you see their faces light up. And that's one of the things that's most encouraging. It's the immediate response, and also to see their school attendance go up, their school performance go up. We've had school performance up, more students transitioning to high school, more students coming to school in the first place because their meals are short for them. And the meals are very low cost. They can't find at that cost anywhere else. So that impact is very immediate, and it's also long-term because, when they get good grades, good marks, they're able to go to good high schools, they're able to get to universities. We have students who are now in universities from the 25 who began. So that is a big impact that enables, because these people now contribute to the economy, they contribute to the country, and they enable Kenya to move forward.
And definitely the ripple effect is also on the parents, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, of course, on the parents and the siblings, because, the parents are struggling to maintain costs, to maintain livelihoods. And one of the things is once you offer the meals at 15 shillings, for a lot of parents, that's a saver because they don't have to cook at home. Mm-hmm. So they save more at home. And then also with their kids performing better, with their kids being able to high school, those kids are able to help them get out of poverty. We have kids right now who are earning money at jobs. So who are not kids anymore, they're adults and they're helping their parents. So that is really important for families because that child is able to help their families, able to help their siblings, and the cycle is broken. It's not repeated again.
And speaking about other needs during this pandemic, I'm sure you've come face to face with those other needs, seeing that you have had to follow them to their homes, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I mean, it's been very humbling and very shocking to see the kind of conditions a lot of children live in, the kind of conditions a lot of children are growing up in, and the kind of ways that a lot of families are, living so that they can survive. So it was very interesting to see, on a personal level, I had to sort out with friends a lot of issues of rent, some issues of child abuse, have to report them and follow the procedure and help the child come out of that situation. A lot of issues of, having to relocate children from their homes into your children's home, for example, or things like that, so that children can be safe. So it's been a very big roller coaster of, having to respond with, yes, the food, but also the immediate needs that, if someone doesn't have a house to live in, they don't have a place to cook the food bundle you're giving them. So that's been something that's very striking and very interesting because I think that a lot of us, we don't realize how many people, majority of the people in this country live very hard lives. And we're ignorant to that, or we are, we don't get to see it as much because a lot of us, we live in our little bubbles. So being able to, even for myself, break out of some sense of my bubble and go out and see what is happening on the ground was very humbling and a very interesting experience.
Mm-hmm. And they say when you give, it comes back in good measure, shaken together and running over. And that has been the story of Wawira. We'll come back to you as you give us that side of your journey. But he was involved in a car accident in 2015. He was left paralyzed. However, his brothers locked him up in a house without proper food and sanitation. He has been there for 5 years and now police have rescued him. This is the sad story of Emmanuel Turere, a resident of Narok County who was reunited with his daughter after years of botched attempts. Rose Wangoi with more.
Emmanuel Turere's emaciated state tells of a story of pain and misfortune. He has been rescued from what has been his prison of a room for 5 years after an accident rendered him paralyzed. Unkept and confused, Turere was found hidden in a house in Ololoito in the county of Narok, where his family had isolated him.
Nimekuwa na ugumu mwingi sana wakuwa nikienda kumuona wananiblock. Saa zingine natafuta elders wananisaidia, ninaenda ninamuona. So ilifika to an extent ikawa ni ngumu kabisa kumuona. Yani inavunja moyo sana kama mwanadamu. Kwa hata kama angekuwa babangu, akuwe tu ni mtu wa nje, mimi ningemsaidia tu kulingana na ile hali nilimpata.
Police officers claim the old man endorsed his only daughter to take up his land against the wishes of his brothers who wanted to take it. His brothers allegedly locked him up, leaving him without proper food and health care.
Tumeelekea katika ile boma, kweli walipotuona wakafunga mlango, wakaweka kofuli. Ile jumba mzana kaa ni chumba kichafu, Mzee mwenyewe analia, ni mgonjwa, haezi pelekwa hospitalini, anahudumiwi kama binadamu, amewekwa kama mnyama. Haoni jua, hatoki nje, anajisaidia pale kwa kitanda, chakula anapewa pale.
When I come out, I will have nowhere to go. Musamehe, and you also be forgiven.
The law must take its course, and I have already seek the services of a lawyer.
The terrified man has now been taken to hospital for health checks as police officers proceed with investigations into the alleged cruelty and wrongful imprisonment.
Tumewakamata mzee mwenye hiyo boma na kijana wake, tunaenda kuwashtaki.
Rozongoi, NTV.
A very sad state, but we're glad that something was done about that situation, and we're celebrating those amongst us who have taken the choice or made the choice to stand in the gap for those who are needy. And speaking of which, Pankaj, you had an encounter with the late Mother Teresa way back in the 80s, and that totally changed how you look at life, right?
Yes, indeed. I was young then, just 23 years old. And I had a new car. It was a second-hand car, but it was new for me. And as I was driving out of the airport early morning on a Sunday, she had just arrived from India. And the wheel of their car came out and hit my car. And I came out of the car shouting, away. But then suddenly I saw her. And I had only known her from the plane crash that had happened in Dodoma, and a little bit I had read about her, but I really didn't know who she was. So I brought them into my car because my car wasn't damaged, but their wheel, their axle was down. So I brought her into my car, and then I drove her to their home in Huruma, and that's the first time I went to the Huruma home. And then I spent the next 3 days with her in and around Nairobi, going from their home in Huruma to the home in Kariobangi, to their home in Kibra, and their home at Otiende Estate. So they have 4 homes in the city. And I went with her to all those homes over the next few days, and I saw the work that she was doing. And during this time, she invited me to go and work with her in Kolkata, in India. So in 1989, I worked with her for 95 days in children's home, which was called Nirmala Shishu Bhavan. Shishu is children. And I also worked for a little time in a place called Nirmal Hriday, which is special souls. So there was a hospice where we had people who came with nobody, but they were brought in with terminal disease or abandoned, and they were brought into the home for their last days. So I worked between the 2 homes for about 90 days. And that's where I had a lot of encounters with her. Almost every Sunday we had an encounter with her. Otherwise, she was a very busy and very strict person.
Okay, and this has gone on to shape how you look at life, and that's why it was so natural for you to start off Team Pankaj. What have you also learned about Kenyans in as far as giving and being there for fellow Kenyans?
Kenyans are a very resilient lot. I've been around the world. I'm in the travel business, as you know, so I've been around the whole world. So there are some things that I believe is that there isn't a country which is more beautiful than Kenya. Kenya is the most beautiful country in the world, and each one of us should be proud of it because we have everything in one nation. I think God started with building Kenya, and then he went around the rest of the world. And if you look at the geographical position, that's it. Kenyans are the most resilient people in Africa and in many, many parts of the world. They're also the kindest people that you can ever meet. I know that a lot of Kenyans have donated to Team Pankaj anything between 500 to 1,500 shillings to even 15 tons of flour or oil or whatever we've asked for. Not everybody in the world is able to give. God calls upon that duty. We have been distributing food all over the country. We worked with Mr. Kiboro, the chairman of Nation Group. We sent 2,000 bags to Subukia. We sent a lot of food to Nyeri, Muranga, to Samburu. And then we started discovering each one of the slums. So at every slum in Nairobi, we found a great leader who was already doing some good work in that slum. Like I would say Sister Mary at Mukuru Promotion Center, or Sister Ursula at the Medical Missionaries of Mary, or Brother Frank at Reuben Center in Mukuru. All these people were already doing some fantastic work. And these people approached us because they also saw the need. And we found bases in every slum area where we could do our distribution from, and where we could work with the government, who was very, very, very supportive, especially the Kenya police. They, we took almost 1,000 packages in trucks. Always the Kenya police helped us. We had a few challenges with a few chiefs, but we always overcame them very quickly. We got absolutely fantastic support from General Badi and his teams everywhere. They were almost everywhere on the ground, especially in Mukuru, because they were doing a lot of road works and refurbishments of water supplies and stuff. We also distributed a lot of water because we found that a lot of slums had issues with cartels, so there was no water going there, so we sent in water bowsers. And then we were approached by a few children's homes, and so we had 2 people who were working permanently on children's homes, vetting them, talking to them, finding out what requirements they had, and we were able to do 108 different children's homes in Nairobi, almost 4 times ever. We gave them a great monthly ration of dry goods, and then every week we still take to them fresh vegetables and fresh fruit and fresh bread, which is all donated by well-wishers in Kenya. So Kenyans are very big-hearted people. They always give very well.
All right, well done, and kudos to fellow Kenyans for working with Pankaj to form and make Team Pankaj a blessing to many Kenyans. And as we have asked you, you can reach us on phone even as you celebrate that person that has stood in the gap for you. And speaking of which, we are now joined by Newton Omache. And for you, it goes beyond even putting something on the table, but catering for your health needs. Newton, who is this you're celebrating today?
Hello, good morning, Gladys.
Good morning.
Today I celebrate one of the people who have played a key role in making sure that I moved forward as a person and not to give up. Her name is Dr. Nancy Kunyiha. She is a diabetic doctor, not someone who has been treating me for whatever reason I've been going to hospital for. I have been bipolar, but Dr. Nancy Kunyiha has been playing a key role in making sure that I stay on track, almost give up everything, but she has kept reminding me that I have come a long way to give up in the last minute. So she has held my hand. Before even I started doing treatment for bipolar, she's the one who encouraged me to go for counseling. I think after several months, about 5-6 months, she's the one who noticed also treatment wasn't working, counseling wasn't working. So she insisted that I should go and see a psychiatrist. And she's been pushing me ever since, until I went, I saw one, I was diagnosed with bipolar, started taking medicine. Never told anyone, but she's been really pushing me and holding my hand throughout the journey. Until now, I'm not even ashamed of having bipolar, and taking drugs isn't even an issue anymore.
Okay, and when you say she's been pushing you, has she also been standing financially with you? Because treating a mental illness is an expensive affair, right?
No, she hasn't been supporting me financially, but the part she's played, the role she's played in supporting me is just way bigger than even supporting me financially. I believe personally, if for her, I don't think I would have gone this far.
Thank you, Newton, for reaching out to us. And yes, we celebrate Dr. Kunyiha for working with Newton during this time. And of course, having to face bipolar is not an easy feat. And thank you for always working with him. We are also joined by Amos Robbie. Amos, who are you celebrating today?
Good morning, Gladys. How are you?
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I'm celebrating my sister. Her name is Liz.
Yes.
And, she's been very instrumental in during this period. But personally, I'm affiliated to local sports, so you know how things are with our local sports, even when things are normal. Yeah. Things are not always good like with our local sports. So we struggle a better part of the season. And now that it's the pandemic that has come in, things are even thicker. Some of my siblings were either laid off or have stood on shift, so which means there must be pay cuts. But my sister, mind you, she has a family and kids, still has managed to give us a hand in food, in rent, in all these bills. Yeah, and it's been really like, wow, who can do this during this pandemic? And I feel like she deserves even more than love from us.
Okay, and what's her name, Amos?
Her name is Liz. Her name is Liz Mahiri.
Liz Mahiri.
Yes.
Liz Mahiri, we celebrate you this morning for standing with your siblings despite it being such a very uncertain season. Thank you for your generosity, and thank you, Amos, for calling us and celebrating your sister. We wish you well. Okay, now we are still joined by Eddie. Eddie, I'd like to know, what has this pandemic taught you about yourself and also about people generally?
Right. Yeah, like I said when we started the conversation, I have been amazed by how people are willing to help even when they don't have. And this just is clear that giving is not about how much you have, but just the heart of giving, being able to give. I've seen people give from 50 bob and calling and trying to explain, oh, I can't give more than that. I'm like, no, it's fine. What you've given will help a lot, because at the end, we just with the money that we're collecting, we were able to buy food and just put them as food hampers and share them to different families. And that just makes you see that people are willing to help where they can. And this is not just because I was reaching out to the actors only, but I reached out to other people who are willing to even help people they don't know. So, I want to just thank everyone who has been willing, has been helping, and is still helping. So Kenyans they're ready to help each other. We love to see each other doing great. So, that for me has just changed how I view life, and believing that what I have is not only for me, but it's for me to share with other people who don't have. So yeah, for me that speaks more than having lots of money and making yourself happy and somebody else next door is struggling. So yeah,
very
just
true.
being able to and seeing a life change, because most of these actors, some of them who were taking the food hampers, because we used to drive, I got help from a few actors who were willing to help me when it gets to distribution. So we used to go around their door to their houses and giving this. You see their wives, you see their children very happy, to the extent of even sending a package to the shags, to the village, because somebody is lacking, as an actor who has relocated from Nairobi and gone back home, so that they can at least, it can be easier for them there, and still they lack. And it's depressing, yes, but it's really fulfilling to see how people are willing to just give and help.
Very true. And we celebrate you all. Before I let go of Wawera, Eddie, and Pankaj, we have all talked about how it starts with a will and the rest just flows into it. Wawera, giving and it all coming back to you in great measure. That has been your journey. Speak about that before we take a short break.
For me, I think that, we've gotten several awards because of the work we do. And that has been something that has been, really humbling, as I said, and also very encouraging to be able to push us forward. So, for example, in 2018, we won the Global Citizen Prize funded by Cisco that enabled us to be able to scale from 2,000 kids a day to 10,000 kids a day. Another thing is that today, actually, we're launching our second kitchen that will feed 20,000 children a day from just that kitchen. And being able to grow from us, it's very humbling to have started with 25 children to now be at around 30,000 children a day once schools reopen, because of just taking the first step and starting with the 25 children. So having that come back, and it's very, very encouraging and pushes us forward towards our 1 million kids a day mark by 2025.
We celebrate you, Wawiranjiru, who is a nutritionist and founder of Food for Education. We are also thanking and celebrating Pankaj Shah, who was and is the leader of Team Pankaj, even as everybody who stood with him as he met the needs in the informal settlements. Also, Eddie Peter Gebhard, who stood in the gap for fellow actors even as they face this pandemic. Thank you to all and blessings to you. And even as you talk to us, remember that hashtag is new normal. Remember, we are celebrating those heroes amongst us. If you can have that feedback on the screen. We have Flora Owino who says, my loving Father in heaven, I will always worship you. Yes, God has a lot to do with meeting our needs. Kamanjem Safiri says, my landlord, he slashed 5,000 off my rent. My parents too kept food supplies flowing from the village. I think some of us know those gunias that are sent by that matatu. Eh? Yeah, they come in handy. Onyango Okal, my landlord, top lady, the 5K discount for 5 months was welcome. We celebrate all those landlords have made it a little bit easier for their tenants. Halaf says, God always been there for me no matter what. Yes, very true. Yaya says, Amina, my love has been there for me all through these hard times, and I'm thankful to her, and I do love her. Who are you celebrating this morning? Somebody who stood in the gap for you, somebody who's met your needs even when you least expected, and have given you the strength to keep going in this unprecedented times. Remember, you can celebrate them right here on your world, that hashtag new normal, or you can call in using that number at the bottom of your screen. See you in a bit.
Japo njia bora zaidi ya kuhakikisha usafi wa mikono ni kutumia maji na sabuni, katika baadhi ya sehemu wameweka mchanganyiko huu maalum wa kutoa uchafu maarufu sanitizer, na tunahimizwa kila tunapotumia tuhakikishe kwamba sehemu zote za mkono zimeupata mchanganyiko huo kwa kufanya hivi kwa takriban sekunde 20 hivi, na tuhimizane wenyewe kwa wenyewe kufanya usafi, manake wapo mwenzako hatafanya usafi basi anakutia wewe hatarini.
We are Nation, Africa's independent media brand. We are committed to empowering all Africans, from the young to the old, from the curious to the educated, and from the heart of the cities to the rural areas. We are Nation. Join us, because if you want to get far, you do it together. Nation. Empower Africa.
okay? It is your world. My name is Gladys Gachanja. This morning we are celebrating the unsung heroes amongst us, those guys who have stood in the gap for us when things were thick. And you and I know this has been quite one tricky season. But there are those who have said, I'll tag you along, I'll adapt you literally, met your needs in as far as doing your shopping, maybe even paying your rent, whatever need they have met, let us know. Hashtag new normal. And you can also call us and let us know who they are. But before we get to it, Senegalese secondary and high schools prepare to hold exams postponed because of the coronavirus pandemic. A 33-year-old teacher, Mamadou Dikate, aka Junior, offers to repair the dilapidated toilets and classrooms. He is raising funds on social media and with his team goes to schools that haven't been able to procure state-funded aid. Mamadou says we are looking for strategies to get people to get involved in the community. For example, here it's very simple. We set up a fundraising chain. We put numbers where each participant can donate. With the money, we buy equipment, then we publish on social media the invoices, everything the money was used for, so that we show, and we also show the before and after pictures and the regular updates so that people trust us because they can see their money is going to where it's supposed to go.
Les anciennes classes qui ont été construites bien avant ont des soucis de toit.
Elsewhere, hyperinflation keeps rolling along in Venezuela, causing prices to change by the minute. People are improvising new sources of income. Delia has turned her home into a makeshift takeout grocery store. Mercedes bakes birthday cakes after work, and Donnie has become a delivery driver to earn in dollars and make ends meet. Mercedes Brito, a telephone operator, says, here, in addition to what I do as a formal job, when I have commissions, that's what I save to be able to invest in banking, to be able to also get the ingredients that I need, like flour, eggs, and butter. Delia Hernandez, retiree, says the pension plus the salary is not enough at all. So at home, I have a small sale of deli meats, flour, bread, eggs, various things from a market basket, and that's how I survive. Now struggling to make ends meet, Lorraine Imperio swapped a pair of Nike slip-ons for a whole dressed chicken on an online bartering site, one of dozens that have sprouted during the Philippines virus lockdown. Lorraine Imperio says old items are usually difficult to sell and sometimes people just ignore them. With butter, it's easier for them to trade items with food instead of money, and it's more common and it's easier to find useful things in exchange for food. With that, I helped them with their needs and I got help too.
Thank you. Salamat. Ano na? Thank you. Salamat. Ano na?
survive during this pandemic. And many people have stood in the gap for others. Others have literally had to shift their livelihoods to ensure that they survive through these hard times. And today we're taking time to actually celebrate our heroes amongst us. One of them is seated here in studio with me. He's Brian Morimi. He's the founder of Seren, and this is where they actually enable street families and individuals to start up some small businesses so that they can be self-sufficient. And then we are also joined by Wamaitha Mwangi, who is the founder of Angel Center. Now, this is a home for abandoned children. Thank you, Wamaitha, for joining us. And in a moment, we'll be joined by DJ Moz and his kids. But before we get to them, let's go back to Brian. And we talked about earlier how you can start off with a wheel, then it just grows and grows. And this has been your story. How much more have you seen just starting off gave life to so many other things?
I'm not sure if I get you correctly.
So you started something and you've got blessings over blessings over blessings. How much of this have you been seeing even as you continue to help others?
A lot of that, because what you give keeps on giving. Yeah. It's like an investment in other people's lives. So one thing leads to another, doors open, new opportunities open, and you're able to, help more people and reach out to even more people and create even more impact. So giving is, I think, one of the greatest hidden secrets in the world, I think. Mm-hmm. If we could all learn that art or discipline of giving, we would see not only other people's lives transform, but our own as well. Mm-hmm. It shapes any background thoughts that you've had about people, or any stereotypes that you've had, and then that begins to open your eyes to a new world view, and you're able to actually, reach out to people, and giving grows hearts warm. Mm-hmm. And we transform the world simply by that act of just reaching out to other people who are in need. Mm-hmm. So it's a great thing. It keeps on growing. You never regret it. That initial feeling of, many people usually give because of a certain feeling that they get. But, as you make it a discipline, you get to go beyond, because it's not all the time that you feel warm and fuzzy inside. But, the eventual consequence or the outworking of your work or your impact will be able to transform lives, and then, that lives beyond you. So I'd encourage, just everyone, make it a habit, a culture, and it will transform not only others, but yourself too. Mm-hmm.
And we are celebrating those heroes that have come or stood in the gap for all of us during this season, but also those who've been doing it for a while, even before this pandemic. And Wamaitha is one of those. You started off this home just knowing you needed to help the children, but didn't even know how. Tell us more.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Wamaitha Mwangi. I started Angel Center in 2010, with the aim of helping children in need, especially abandoned children. And, I didn't even dream that it would, first last 10 years, and then we've impacted over 200 children. We've seen sick children, we've buried children, we've placed children into homes through adoption, we've reunited children with their parents. It's just been a blessing all around, and yeah, we give glory.
Okay, and you started this journey at only 27 years of age. I'm sure after the further studies that you had gone to pursue, coming back to say that you're starting a home, some people looked at you as if you were crazy, huh?
Yeah, that was actually the general reaction, and a lot of people kind of didn't believe in what I was doing. Like they didn't see the picture then. Now is when they're like, okay, you mean you are serious, and now they can see the impact. But when God gives you a vision, it doesn't matter what people say. You just go ahead and do it, whether people are supporting or not.
But giving has been emulated for you. Your own parents have always been philanthropic, right?
Oh yeah, correct. Growing up, every holiday, April holiday, August holiday, December holiday, at the time we used to hate it because other people used to go to Mombasa, but we used to go to children homes. And we had to give out clothes, whether we liked it or not. You had to give something away. So, at the time, because of the age, we thought probably it was unfair. My mom volunteered with Red Cross. My dad has always been the one that was paying fees. When someone was sick, he'd be the one. So we always grew up knowing that you had to give. So we never really got attached to material things. So that's how it ended up becoming Angel Center.
So were they the first cheerleaders when you told them you wanted to start this venture?
It was 50-50. It was 50-50. One parent was like, are you sure this is what you want to do? Your friends are really, my friends were getting promotions. Some were getting married. Some were buying cars. And, they were coming from a point of love. Like, you're missing out on what's going on. And then the other parent was like, go ahead and do it. But either way, they still supported. But, there was a bit of conflict.
Okay. Now, as we mentioned earlier, you did not know how to go about this. It was now a reality and you had to go with all these young children. Give us a snippet of your first experiences.
Wow. Okay. My first experience, I usually give this story because it was the most traumatic for me was the first child. I got him July 2010, and he was 1 year old. And I was so excited. And, so I went to pick him up from the children's office and I took him to Limuru. That time I was in Limuru in a 1 bedroom. And I took him to Limuru, and that he did not want me to touch him. He did not want, that child cried for about 6 hours straight. He would not let me feed him. I mean, it's just the two of us. And I was like, okay, did I make the right decision? Maybe I should have just gotten a job like everyone else. And I remember at the time I wasn't very prayerful, but I remember saying a prayer around 2 a.m. and I'm like, God, I'm here because of you. What do you want me to do? And at the time, the child had slept. And I can tell you, as soon as the child woke up, he allowed me to, like, I was not even able to change his diaper. So he allowed me to change his diaper and he allowed me to feed him. He allowed me to hold him. So that changed a lot for me. Like, it opened up a lot for me. So, but it was actually, I was very scared, to be honest.
Okay.
Like, maybe it is not for me.
And then it was just you. How many are you working with today?
I have 27 staff. It's me, 27 staff, and I have a board.
And how many children are we at?
We are at 54 children. Our last born we got on Saturday. She's called Olive and she's 2 days old. And my oldest boy is 10 years old, and I've had him since he was 6 months old.
Well done, well done. And how do you keep it going? Where do you get the funding from?
Well, Kenyans are actually very generous and willing to help people in need. For the longest time, I thought that we'd need to get, these big sponsors. So we used to apply for grants. I have written 1 million grants and I've received 1 million no's. So one time a friend of mine told me, and then, when you ask people for money, when you tell them I need 50,000, people will not send you 50,000. So what we started doing is we started posting a list every month, and would be like, I need blankets. And Gladys, at the end of the day, I'd have 20 blankets. People would even ask, do you need more blankets? And then, so when we started putting the list, that's when Kenyans started coming in. So I usually tell people Angel Center is run through well-wishers because that's how we've been running. We don't have a donor. We've had some organizations that have worked with us. At Cafe have donated vegetables for the past 8 years. Amadeus have been giving us something small every month for also 8 years. So, but we cannot say that we have a donor because actually Kenyans have been the ones, well-wishers have been the ones supporting us. And of late, we've had more international people come in and say, how can we help?
Okay, and you mentioned that you not only have lost some children due to disease, but you've also put some on into the adoption system. Talk about
Correct.
that.
We've placed 35 children into homes through adoption because the children I get are strictly abandoned, unless maybe it's a child that has been lost in a market or something, or maybe has been removed from a home situation because of violence or alcohol. So I work with an adoption agency called KKPI Adoption Agency. So when I get a child, we get a police letter and a letter from the magistrate. And then magistrates give us different timelines. There are some magistrates that will place the child into Angel Center for 6 months, others 1 year, others 3 years. Then after the 6 months, 1 year or 3 years, we go back to the magistrate to get another. First, we go back to the police to ask them, has anyone come to claim the child, or have you found the families? Usually with abandoned babies, it's not the case. Then we go back to the magistrate, and then she'll give us a second letter. And the second letter will confirm that the child has been placed into Angel Center for Life. So when the child has been placed to Angel Center for Life, we take the file to the adoption agency. So whoever wants to adopt, Angel Center is usually not the first stop. You have to go to an adoption agency. There are about 5 adoption agencies, private ones, I think, in Kenya. But we work with one, KKPI. But even if someone applies to another agency, they can still, adopt from Angel Center. But usually that's the process. The first step is to go to the adoption agency.
And how many have you placed in the system?
We have placed 35 into homes through adoption.
Oh, well done. Well done. And Brian, I love what she brings up. It looks like giving is all nice, fuzzy and warm, as you were saying. But there are those times where you wonder, what did I get myself into? Did you ever have such moments?
Oh, yeah, plenty of times.
Okay, give us a snippet.
Yeah, so first of all, like what my dad shared, initially when you're looking maybe for funding to carry on the food distribution and all, so you kind of find like you've taken the place of the people that you're helping. So people don't really see them, they see you. And then there's a disconnect in being able to actually, because now you seem like you're the one in need, and it's not them. So that also is dangerous, because if you're not focused on the big picture or on what you're wanting to achieve, it's easy to give up at that point. Also, there are points where we, while distributing food, food ran out at some point, and sometimes street families are not very well put together emotionally. So a few things happened. Get knives sometimes pointed at you. Yeah, scuffles here and there. But those fade away in comparison to the bigger picture of being able to transform society. But also on the converse, it's not just sad stories. I remember there was a point where we actually did not have any food to give. Like we had not raised enough, and the people were so many. Who do you choose? What to give? So we all just prayed and sang and worshipped and went home. And imagine there are people who are grateful even for that, that fellowship and company. I remember one gentleman. I think he was in his middle ages back then. And I was a teen at the time, and we had done this for a few months. And he came out after one of the outreaches, and he said, Brian, thank you so much for being with us these many months. Thank you for your encouraging messages and words. I'm coming to say goodbye because I found a construction job out in Nakuru, and you guys are the ones who helped me to, come together emotionally to pursue that. So he broke down in my arms, You know, so I remember also one lady. One time we were just, you know, out in the streets, and there was a lady. There are many buildings around, and there's a lady a Sudanese lady who, you know, would always stay at the hotel where we were next to, and then every Friday night she'd hear people singing and praying, and so she'd go to the roof and have a look at what's going on down there. And one Friday night, she actually came down and handed over, you know, a donation to support what we were doing. So you never really know the direction it will take,
yes.
But the effect is always good, as in you always end up with, you know, satisfaction at the end of the day, knowing what's going on.
Well said, well said. We are still celebrating the heroes amongst us, those guys who stood in the gap for you when things were thick, but you know if it wasn't for them, how would you kule ungekuwa leo? But even as we do so, remember you can reach us either on social media, #NewNormal, or give us a call. And speaking of which, we have Helen on the line. Helen, thank you for joining us. Who are you celebrating today?
I want to celebrate my mom.
Go ahead.
Yes, I want to celebrate my mom and my 4 siblings. Yeah, when the pandemic hit hard the country, they were there for me. They made sure that my bills were paid and I had something on my table.
Okay, and are you the only sibling?
No. I have 4 other siblings.
And they all were getting mama's love, eh?
Yes.
All right, Helen, thank you for calling us, and we wish you well.
Thank you.
All right, and I'm also told we have, who else on the line? Wanjiko?
Hi, Gladys.
Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning. Who are you celebrating today?
I wish to celebrate my grandparents, Mr. and Mrs. Shira of Ngorika, together with my Auntie Deborah, Uncle Thiongo, and my cousin Jamba.
Yes.
Who provided us with some produce all the way from Nyandarua County.
And you live in the city, I presume?
Yes, I live in the city, so at least this food was able to provide the much needed sustenance as I faced difficulties during the lockdown.
Somebody is asking, even as they come with those gunias in that matatu and you receive them, are you sparing some for your neighbors?
Yes, I'll call my friends. You know, farm produce can be quite smart and I'm living alone, so I'll share them with my friends and my neighbors.
Spreading good cheer. Thank you so much for calling in, Wanjiko. We wish you well.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Okay, bye. And we're now joined by DJ Mose. You know him as a gospel DJ, but he's also a husband and a father to 3 beautiful children. And these kids came up with an initiative to stand in the gap for those in need. And they actually put together a very, very noble cause. DJ Mose, karibu sana. Tell us more about this initiative.
Hey Gladys, it's really nice to see you, and you know, this is good work that you're doing. We're celebrating our heroes who stood with us during these difficult times of Corona, or as young people call it, Rona times. So with me is my daughter Zara right here, and she should tell you more about the wonderful project that they came up with called, what's the name of your project?
Bake, Make, Eat.
Okay. You want to tell us more about it?
Okay, so it's a project my sister, brother, and I have been working on to raise money for the families who can't put food on the table during this season.
Okay, darling, what's your name?
My name is Zara.
Zara, so what is this that you came up with? What do you do?
We bake cupcakes and banana bread, and then we sell them, and the money we get back, we give it to the we use it to buy the food for the families.
Okay, now I understand that you actually put together a lot of money. How much did it get to?
It got to 116,000 shillings.
Very well done. So just the 3 of you selling your cupcakes and banana bread?
Yes.
Well done. And this past weekend, you were able to distribute the food?
Yes.
And where did you distribute it to?
I can't remember.
I think this weekend.
Okay.
This weekend, what did we do on Saturday?
Well, we packed the food.
How many bags did we? For how many families?
75.
Oh,
Okay.
well done. So how many were, or what was in each pack?
Okay, so there was 2 packets of unga for ugali.
Those 4 packets.
Oh yeah, 4.
4 packets for unga for ugali,
And then there was also 1 packet unga ya chapo. And then there was also oil, salt, rice, sugar, pencils and pens for the children, and notebooks for school. And then there was also sanitary pads.
Oh, well done. Mose, why was it important to include the sanitary towels for you guys?
For those women who have started their period.
Oh, you are young and you understand these things. Mose, kudos, Bana. Kudos for empowering that young girl.
Let me tell you, I have no credit to take on this. I'll have to give it all to the mom.
Okay, so Zara, you have seen how people are struggling during this hard times, and you put together this initiative. Are you going to continue with it?
Yes.
Okay, and this time what are you targeting? How much?
To help at least another 75 families.
Well done, well done. Thank you so much for doing this. And just, you know, people would think children cannot do anything, but clearly we have been challenged.
And let me tell you, Gladys, what they have been doing is, so they bake on Fridays and Saturdays only. So they've done this over 3 weekends, you know, just baking, like they've done probably over 200 cupcakes.
Okay.
So they do this on Fridays and Saturdays, and it was completely their own initiative. The name Bake, Make, Eat, they came up with it. So I think for Debs and I, we have been very, very encouraged by their zeal and their passion for families who are struggling to put food on the table at such time as this. But then also, let's also say something that just did not start now. They have also worked closely with Total Care Box. You know, Zara has done a couple of projects to raise money for Total Care Box, where they, you know, for pregnant mothers who are just starting off, you know, with new babies and can't afford to maybe, you know, the basic needs that you need when a baby is born. So Zara has been able to raise a couple of boxes for them. And I think for us, we are really proud of our kids to see that they are passionate about, you know, about families that are in need, and how can they be able to provide a solution to them. And if you don't mind, there is a scripture that they love sharing based on the wonderful work that they're doing. What's that?
It's Micah 6 verse 8.
And what does it say?
What does it say?
It says, "Know, O people, the Lord has told you what is good, and this is what He requires of you: to do what is right, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with all your God."
Ooh, well done, Zara. We're so proud of you. And when we come back from this short break, I would want to understand, Mose, how important it is to inculcate this kind of a culture when they are this young. As they say, they'll never depart from it. And that is something that we would want to also pass on as a message out of this show this morning. But before that short break, you are still talking to us. Hashtag new normal. If you can see some of that feedback on your screen, Rachel Lubanga says, "My teachers from school have been contacting and always ensuring we are safe and that we continue with our learning." Thank you, Rachel, for writing in. Faith Kamene Mwema says, "Family, friends, mentors, mentees, and colleagues, I love them all." Thank you, Faith. Kamal Joni says, "My employer never disappointed me. My family has also been a backbone." Thank you, Kamal. We have a Wanda who says, "I want to thank myself for always encouraging me to do my best. I want to thank myself for always believing in me, even when I can't even believe in myself. Now, I see what you're doing there. If you can't believe in yourself in these dark times, my friend, it can be tricky. Dr. Paul Ambala says, my family has stood with me. Again, hashtag new normal. Keep talking to us even as we celebrate those unsung heroes amongst us. A short break, we'll be back.
Heaviness and a burning inside, it could be heartburn.
Indigestion and heartburn? Eno gets to work in 6 seconds and works on the 6 symptoms of heartburn so you can keep living life non-stop. Eno, fight heartburn and indigestion fast.
What is she doing here?
She's coming with us.
If she's going, I won't. We won't gain anything with the two of us fighting.
He's already here for me. Why are you going out with Carito? I saw you with her in town.
Saw us where? Ramon told me you were going with a boss.
Don't try to change the subject. Do you think it's right for you to go out with that woman?
I just ended a very complicated relationship. That poor excuse of a man has been making my life a living, breathing nightmare.
That's what I'm saying, Lashana. I don't want to see my nanny sad anymore.
I think the time has come to give myself another chance to be happy.
Along came love, in association with Blue Band Peanut Butter.
Thank you for staying with Your World. Let's take a look at the other world. As the first day of school approaches, in New York's poorest, often families without health insurance, face a risky choice: sending kids to school where they could contract coronavirus or keep them home for online classes, potentially compromising their academic progress and preventing parents from working. Like many other parents in Corona, a Queens neighborhood hit hard by the coronavirus pandemic, Maria, a single mother of two, goes to a food bank to get some help. She now works only 2 days a week, and preparing for the return to school is a real puzzle for her. Maria, mother of 2 children and a cleaner, says, "I was working 5 days in the mornings and 2 days in the afternoons. Now I only have 2 days of work. And here you have to pay rent, bills. I mean, you know, all the expenses. It really is difficult."
Dijo Miguel, le dije,
Away from that, the Plaza Athene, like a handful of luxury hotels in the French capital, has chosen to resume activities after 5.5 months of closure. Despite the near absence of wealthy foreign tourists, the luxury hotels are trying to attract a Parisian clientele that will not be enough to keep them afloat. The general director of Plaza Athene says, "I think it's important that their palaces reopen to send the message abroad and also in France that life is going to start again and that there is hope. We cannot afford to be like museums and stay closed to put ourselves in a position of hibernation." A group of pharmaceutical companies give an update on their research to find a vaccine for the novel coronavirus, with U.S. giant Pfizer saying it could have results from its late-stage vaccine trial as early as October.
We are in a very advanced stage. We started end of July, the big pivotal trial, but it is the only trial that will tell us if we have an effective and safe vaccine or not. This is a trial that will we will have to enroll at least 30,000 participants to be able to come to a conclusion. Right now, we have enrolled yesterday 23,000 patients were already enrolled in this study. We expect to, by the end of October, normally, should be able to have enough events to say if the product works or not.
The speed at which we're moving is truly unprecedented in the history of our industry, or frankly, in the face of any other disease. This is, as Albert said, a disease that was just genetically identified as a target 9 months ago. Already we have approved treatments, and we have a pipeline of, I believe, over 300 possible treatments, and of course, many vaccine candidates, as was discussed.
Away from that, climate change protesters continue to converge on the British Parliament as demonstrations continue across the country by activist group Extinction Rebellion. Various protests are planned between September 1st and the 10th, including a walk of shame close to the Bank of England, a carnival of corruption close to government-financed buildings, and a silent demonstration outside Buckingham Palace. Police have imposed tough conditions on the protests, restricting where and when activists could demonstrate and banning vehicles. Last year, more than 1,700 people were arrested during a similar 10-day autumn uprising organized by Extinction Rebellion, which saw major disruption across the UK and large parts of central London blocked off. Elsewhere, Pope Francis has warned that Lebanon faced extreme danger that threatens the very existence of the country following last month's massive explosion. The leader of the Catholic Church focused on the disaster-hit country almost a month after the huge blast in the Beirut harbor ripped through the city, killing more than 180 people and wounding at least 6,500. Lebanon cannot be abandoned to its solitude, the Pope said at his first limited audience with the public in 6 months because of the coronavirus crisis. A new outdoor sky deck in Manhattan, the highest in the Western Hemisphere, reopens to the public after shutting down only a few days after its grand opening in early March due to the coronavirus pandemic. Rising 1,131 feet in the air from the heart of Hudson Yards, it offers 360-degree views of New York City's iconic skyline from their 100th floor outdoor viewing platform. Enjoy the breathtaking views. A A new kind of cinema is inaugurated in London, where the audience can watch a movie from booths floating on the Paddington Basin and experience seducing cinema lovers who feel safer outdoors.
I love it. As a Londoner, I often walk the canal, so it's lovely to be here for a different experience. The weather hasn't rained on us like London usually does, so that's also good. And Life of Pi is one of my favourite films. Although the cinema is such an incredible experience with like surround sound and being in darkness and usually like not being able to use your phone, there's something really lovely about watching movies differently.
Luckily the weather is really good tonight. That might be an issue if it's not, but yeah, just feel a bit. We've been back to doing a few activities, and they're mostly outdoors, because indoors I still struggle a bit with people proximity and people getting too close and things like that.
So the idea actually came about just early on into lockdown, and we're a family-owned business. We had a bit of a light bulb moment to think it'd be great fun to bring an outdoor drive-in event, but with a bit of a difference, and to do it by boat. Well, I think people have missed just normal living, you know, and so cultural experiences forms part of that. And so being able to bring an outdoor cinematic experience and then drive in by boat is just something new and something fun that people can enjoy.
I hear movie lovers saying this should be enacted here in Kenya, the Miss being in that space. I don't know. Maybe Uhuru Park, the waters would be it. I do not know. But anyway, let's go back to that conversation of the day. We are celebrating the heroes amongst us. And earlier on, we spoke to Wamaitha, who is catering for abandoned children. And Wamaitha, as you said, Kenyans are really generous. But then again, you've also mentioned before that there is something that deters people from giving, right?
Yes. People do not like to give in cash because sometimes they believe that maybe the administration will use the money. So that's why we decided to use the system where we give a list every month, and then people can just donate. You know, they can buy the goods, they can donate in kind, but then there are still people who give money as donation.
And why do you think so? Is it because we have a culture of corruption, so they think this has seeped into all the systems or establishments?
Oh yeah, that's actually what it is. And you know, like even in the past, I told you we used to volunteer a lot, and you know, you'd go to a children's home, you know, long time ago, and you find them, they're asking for mattresses, you know, worth maybe 100,000, and then 2 months later they're asking for the same thing, and you don't see the change in the children. And one thing I always tell people, when you go to a children's home, look at the children, look at how they are living, look at the conditions they live in. That's how you know if the money is going the right place or not. And then, because you know, a long time ago, the children used to be abandoned a lot, like they are mistreated, you know, there's quantity, but there is no quality. So you see, the aim of a children's home is not just to have children, is to change their lives. Like, yes, they are abandoned children, but to give them a life that's worthy, you know, that has quality. It's not just to say that I have 100 children. I can have 100 children, but you see their quality will be very low because of how, you know, the economy is, and especially with COVID, you know, people are not visiting, we're not getting volunteers. And volunteers is not about just people coming to wash the center. Volunteers is about people coming to interact with the children. The children were very lonely during this COVID period. And, you know, we ran out of ideas of where to take them because everywhere was closed. So we used to bring them to my house. I used to take them to my mom's house, you know, as an outing, so that, because they get lonely. They are also children like your children, you know. So when you go and volunteer in a children's home, you're not just going to wash their clothes and, you know, you should interact with them. And they love visitors.
And speaking of which, if I wanted to come and spend an afternoon or a day with them, how do I go about it?
Well, you can call in. There's a number 0712-218-121. So what we are doing, especially with this in this COVID period, we are allowing a group maximum 5, so per day. So at least 5 people per day can visit the children and spend an afternoon with them. So you just call and let us know the day that works for you, so that we do not double book 2 groups. Yeah, so when you come, yeah, then you can come and you hang out with the children. Of course, you have to have your mask on. We have all the COVID measures, in place. You wash your hands, you sanitize, as the staff as well. So yeah, we are now reopened for visitors to come and help.
Okay, Brian, Wamaitha has touched on something, and I think you also mentioned in passing how when people stop looking at the need you're trying to meet, but start looking at the person who is asking for their help. Have you come across donors who have said, I'm not sure if my money will be used wisely?
Not really, not exactly. It's just sometimes doesn't come across as a natural thing to do. But there are people who, really come through. And, as long as you're able to account, as long as you're able to, show exactly, where this is going and, who this is helping, then people are okay with that, because money is a trust issue as well. So, so being able to realize that and to take that seriously, people will be are more than willing to actually give, both in cash and in kind.
Being accountable.
Yeah.
Okay, and in your work, have you come across where Wamaitha mentioned she literally has had to bury children, which is a loss in her part because these are children she interacted with. For you, have you tried to help somebody open the business for them, but somehow it did not work? They just went back to their old life and you lost them in the system?
Yes, that has happened because primarily, like what I've learned in doing this is it's not only the physical need that needs to be met. There's actually an invisible enemy that's not visible to both the person needing the help and the person giving the help, and that is culture. Like, what has this person grown to know? What has been the experience over the years? So street life, for example, is a culture. It's made up of people that enforce it. There's things that we do as a crew, and there's things we don't do. So that is a huge barrier in being able to give or receive help, because both of you need to be in each other's shoes for it to work. So there are people that have slipped back, and primarily because of culture, and also a variety of external forces that come into play. Life happens. For example, now COVID checked in immediately when the city was closed in. You had people who are depending on small businesses, especially in the CBD. You had them really complaining because they eat out of traffic. When people are moving around in matatu termini or along traffic when it's congested, you and I might be crying about the traffic, but that's someone else celebrating because they'll get a meal.
That's their office.
Yeah, when they come to your window and selling bananas or pieces of cloth to wipe things, that's really their meal that they go home with. So when that was announced, that really got things affected. And one of the things that I'm grateful for is that many of them were able to think on their feet and go back into maybe the slums and being able to start businesses close to where there was significant traffic of people, back in the home areas. So yeah, it's a process. Change is a process. Yeah.
Okay. Now, Mose, earlier we were listening to Wamaitha says that philanthropy, giving, was emulated by her parents. Now you're a parent to these amazing children who've come up with this initiative that is meeting a need. Why have you been intentional about this?
I think what Debs and I have been able to experience is we've both got wonderful parents who demonstrated it for us. My mom and my dad, very much people of the community. We grew up in Kangemi, not a very wealthy area, actually one of the poor areas in the city. And we would often see people coming to our home and, to request for food. And it was very easy for my mom or my dad to give them our very last packet of unga. So it's something that we have grown up being demonstrated for us. Debs' family, and Debs is my wife. For those of you guys who are wondering who is this guy, this Debs Moses talking about. Her family as well has been very much at the forefront, especially when it comes to working with people who are struggling in one way or another. And actually, the church that they actually do go to in Scotland is probably one of the most deprived areas in Europe. And most of the people in that area struggle a lot with drug abuse. And, Debs has gotten to see her parents taking in people who are actually drug addicts who are trying to come out of it and actually coming out victorious on the other end. So we have seen this model for us by our parents, and we are glad to be able to model something similar for our kids because our parents modeled it for us. And we are glad to see that our children are picking it up. Even this wee one who is here right next to me, he actually took part in making the cupcakes. And just in the passion and the zeal, these kids would wake up like at 6 o'clock in the morning, excited, ready to start getting the cupcakes and the banana breads going, and they were always looking forward to getting the orders. So allow me as well, Gladys, to go ahead and say thank you so much to everyone who has gone ahead and ordered for a box of cupcakes or for a banana loaf from our kids from Bake Make Eat. We're very, very grateful. And can also give a big shout out to Brian, who's right there next to you. I remember when Brian was starting off with the street project, street children's project, because we were all in the same Bible study, in the K Crew Bible study, and Brian would come and tell me, Mose, this is what I want to do. So Brian, it's really nice to see that you're continuing with something that you were passionate about, because not even your training is something that you're passionate about. So I'm very happy to see, bro, that you're continuing with the work that you started a couple of years ago. Asante.
Okay, so even as we bring this conversation to a close, Mose, I'll start off with you. You've talked about someone emulating it, you emulating it to your children. We also would like to inculcate this culture amongst Kenyans.
Yeah.
Talk about that and the importance of it going forward.
I think we have seen this happening so many times over, how Kenyans are able to come together, especially in time when people are in times of need. Be it the like when the Westgate attack happened in October, was this September of 2013?
Yeah.
We've seen Kenyans rallying together and being able to help our neighbor in time of need. And I think that this is something that we always need to continue with. And Waswahili usema fimbo ya mbali haimuui nyoka. It's the person who's closest to you who's able to help you in your time of need. And so my challenge to all of us, is to see how we can be able to help our neighbor who's in need. If you know that your neighbor doesn't have a meal for that evening and you have 2 packets of flour, just be that, be the hands and feet of Jesus at this time. How do you just trust God to provide for your next meal, but do not let your neighbor go to sleep hungry when you know that you can be able to bail them out for that night. And we've come across countless testimonies of people who've gone ahead and done something amazing like that. So Kenyans, I think our challenge is, we can be able to change the face of our country and model a different kind of lifestyle for our kids. And how we do this is truly loving your neighbor as you love yourself. It doesn't get more clear than the words that Jesus Christ used. Yeah.
Very well said. Wamaitha, definitely this is happening a lot during a crisis, but for you, it is an everyday affair. How do we ensure this is something that lives amongst us beyond the crisis?
Everything DJ Mo has said is correct, and, giving back, you don't have to go to a children's home. Like, there are people who know, like, you've seen your neighbor has struggled with something for the longest time, and it's something you can easily help with. Just start with that. Just love your neighbor as you love yourself and give back. And, it doesn't have to be something you put on social media. Just do it, and it will actually help with your stress. It will actually give you peace, by helping someone. Everyone needs help. So when you see that there's somewhere you can help someone, just do it, So I agree with what he said. And Kenyans need to adapt. And there's that culture of, I gave in December. I only give in December. You can change that. You don't have to give only in December. Make it something continual. Choose the project that you believe in, and then you have to give to something you believe in. When you give to something you don't believe in, it won't leave you with the result that is desired. So you give to a project that you believe in. It doesn't have to be a children's home. It could be paying someone's school fees. And when you give, Don't ask, like when you pay someone school fees, don't demand that they become number one or something. Just when you give, just give. And something that will help a lot, like Kenyans are stressed. We are stressed. We've got so many problems going on, and then don't focus on the problem. Focus on what you can do. Focus on God. There's still God. He's still alive and he still exists. So that can help a lot of things.
Well said, Wamaitha, and definitely, Brian, you've been walking this for a while, and it's taught you a thing or two. Your parting shot.
I think we all have dreams as people, and we are many at times consumed with our own needs, trying to make a dream come true. Busy at work, but inside all of us, there's that innate desire to do something meaningful, something that is not only about yourself, but also about making life better for someone else. So I'd encourage people, don't ignore that. Whatever interests you, whatever you're passionate about, try to find ways just to engage with that. Don't only give the money. Find a way to also get engaged personally. If you can be able to give just a little of your time, that way you will begin to see the transformation that will work in you, even as you reach out to other people to help them.
Thank you, Brian, Wamaitha, DJ Moz. Earlier we were joined by Eddie, Pankaj, and what's her name? Have I forgotten somebody? Yes. I forgot his name. Wawera from Food for Education. Thank you all for joining us. These are heroes that are amongst us, and all they did is take time to meet a need. That's all it takes. The rest will just keep flowing after that. And thank you for engaging us on that hashtag New Normal. I hear there's a lot more feedback coming through, even as you asked you who has come through for you in these times. This is awesome, Brian. What about you make it to 254 people weekly? Mr. Nesh, I challenge kwako, Brian. Fred Awino says, my small bro Stephen Awino, boys alone, my parents have been good to me since I lost my job as a P1 teacher in a private school. Fred, thank you for sharing. Eva Murish says, God bless the work of your hands, Pankaj. Yes, we had him earlier as he spoke about Team Pankaj. Ronald Rob says, may God double your blessings all. Thank you, Ronald. Minge Charles says, you don't need to be a billionaire in order to help someone. Leaders should be role models. Ukweli Charles, thank you. Nelson Etit says, God bless you, Brian Moremi. Don't grow weary, do it more. Brian, blessings to you. JJ says, how can I join his team? Brian, I think you need to let people how they know how they can reach you. Arab Bet, may the Almighty bless those who extend a helping hand and punish those enriching themselves during these tough times without thinking about the suffering. Arab Bet, we hear you. Chalo says, my parents, my sister, my relatives, always been there for me. Thank you for sharing, Chalo. And Brian, a quick one, how can people reach you?
You can visit our website, seren.org, and you can get all the information you need to be able to engage.
Excellent. Thank you. And tomorrow we take a look at cleft lip and palate. This is a condition that can be, is this a condition, let me ask you, that can be corrected by surgery? Well, does or has access to these elective surgeries been affected by the pandemic? What are the misconceptions on such elective surgeries and the cost of the same? The health implications? Well, that and more will be tackled tomorrow right here at 7 a.m. See you then.
I help women find independence by training them in fish farming. It's tough on my back, joints, and can cause headaches. Panadol Extra relieves multiple types of pain. If symptoms persist, seek medical advice.
Nitakufunza njia halisi ya kuosha mikono. Jambo la kwanza, lazima utumie sabuni. Unachukua ile sabuni na kuhakikisha kwamba umeweka katika sehemu yote. Kisha unakuja katika sehemu hii ambayo inafahamika kama kiwiko. Na wanasayansi wanasema kwamba viini pia vinapatikana ndani ya kucha, na hivyo basi wanahimiza kucha ziwe fupi. Na kumbuka, unapaswa kuosha mikono yako si mara moja kwa siku, mara kadhaa.
Do you need to send your parcel or document during this period? The Nation Courier Services, with over 15 years of distribution experience, will deliver it for you. We deliver to every corner of Kenya. Due to our strong distribution network, have overnight door-to-door service and same-day intra-city service with the security and safety of the client's shipment guaranteed. Your parcel is our priority. We'll deliver it for you. Contact us for delivery on courierservices@ke.nationmedia.com or call 0719 038 739.
Job went through many troubles, but the Bible says that at the end of it, he was more blessed, he was stronger, and he was more wealthy than he had ever been. This is our prayer, this is our belief, that when this is all over, we will be stronger, we will be more blessed, we will be a greater nation than we ever been. God bless you and stay safe.
Do your gums hurt? Yeah. Does your toothpaste contain sage, eucalyptus, myrrh, chamomile? All that in one toothpaste? Yes, try Colgate Herbal. Colgate Herbal contains nature's best herbs and Colgate's fluoride technology to give you strong teeth and healthy gums. Ah, Colgate Herbal. Let's go. Colgate Herbal for strong teeth and healthy gums naturally.
NTV, turning on your world. The following program has been rated GE. It is therefore suitable for general family viewing.
We clapped our hands and stomped our feet. Hi ho, hi ho, hi ho. A rig-a-jig-jig and away we go, away we go, away we go. A rig-a-jig-jig and away we go. Hi ho, hi ho, hi ho.
Hi guys, welcome to Generation 3. My name is Abiki Mani and today I have an awesome Saturday planned out for you. Let's take a peek at the highlights and see what exactly we'll be doing today.